Okay, here we go. So how many of you are at yesterday's mastermind or watched the mastermind? Yes. Okay, talking to all you people. Sheeta, hey, how's it going? Were you on the mastermind yesterday or did you get to watch it? You got to unmute yourself, by the way. All right. So every one of you put your microphone on right now because we need to chat.
Yes, I will.
Okay, perfect. So we're all on the same page here. Here's what I want to really communicate and make this as simple as possible for you. So what I really took away, and hopefully you guys agree on this, is that at the end of the day, we need to make sure they receive the value we're presenting. And my key takeaway was twofold on this. Number one, obviously we know at the end of the day, it is a numbers game. You got to think long-term. You know, when you see all these people doing well with StreetText, usually you've seen it like they've been at it for a while. Especially the ROI really starts taking off, I think, in that year range. But doesn't mean you can't get lucky and get a couple in the beginning. And I see a lot of people, if they get that first listing appointment in the first week, it's just like, it could be give you false hope because it doesn't always just happen like that. But what you can do to ensure that you're getting great conversations is you can begin with video and end with video, and you can create a virtual CMA for everybody. But the important takeaway that I saw with Donna Swansea, who was on, and she's not usually on, and she's done in total a few hundred deals with StreetText over the last 5 years.
I was a little shocked she came on yesterday. I mean, I've been attending master. I haven't seen. That's the first time I've seen her. And I've been attending for
like celebrity. So I tried to prompt her as best I can. And what we noticed was, here was my key takeaway, that she sends an additional email about 10 minutes later. And I'm looking for her to actually provide that to the insider group. But about 10 minutes later, the email is basically, just want to make sure you received it.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's just a simple, you know, I'm sure there's some text context on top of that video. But it's just a simple video she sends from BombBomb. And for some reason, that's the video that gets opened. And what it does is it prompts them to go find the CMA that she had just previously sent if they didn't have it. So if they say no, or I didn't get it, now you're like, just, you know, basically in that email, you're saying, check your filters, right? Search with this email. Most likely it's in one of those filters right now. And that's your, you know, the home value CMA that I've just produced for you. Now, the other takeaway with that is basically, you know, bam, bam, is you send a piece of mail out that says basically the same thing. And you in that piece of mail, I think it would be perfect to write something or make sure it's open, right? You're going to put it in an envelope, postage stamp, send it out in the mail. And I would tell them the day and time that you actually sent that. So maybe you add that into your workflow when you're kind of time blocking for producing CMAs for people. Because if you do the virtual CMA, you send that email 10 minutes later just to make sure they received it. You go to your mailer and you create a scenario where you're sending that cool, you know, piece of mail that feels personal. We you know, there's so many ways to do this. I have we can talk about templates and stuff and notes and handwriting and versus printing and all that good stuff, but it's up to you and your workflow. You gotta try it and test it. And I would again, we're waiting to hear back from Lindsay, who talked about how she's done that successfully. But it doesn't mean you can't change it and shift it and make it a little bit different and unique to your own branding and colors and everything for that matter. And you know, at the end of the day, your personality is the most important piece. But when you do follow up with that, I think that's your best winning scenario. Now, based on everything that I've learned so far, I would say those two pieces alone is going to make a huge difference in starting conversations for you. And then for those of you that are in the US, the element of homebot becomes great if you created that scenario, then you introduce homebot later in your automations, because at that point it's just a matter of staying top of mind, and homebot will do that for you. And
Can I ask what homebot is? I'm not familiar with homebot.
Yes, well, homebot.ai, you can write that down and go do a search on it. Basically, it's going to be like virtual CMA on steroids, in the sense of you can tune your market value. It'll show the equity that they have in their home. It'll show their mortgage payments. It'll help them identify possible investment opportunities and what they could Airbnb their home for. And again, the best part about that at a $25 a month fee is that it gets really high opens and interaction, and it prompts you personally whenever someone's reading or interacting with it. So that's a powerful concept, right? When we know, hey, this person's right now looking at this, and it'll often, what you'll do with something like BombBomb is you'll reinforce the component of homebot that says tune their market value, because that's what you want them to do.
And it will connect, Karen, with your BombBomb account as well.
Yeah.
They have an integration now, which is nice. And I think they're doing a update where you can send a video to everybody that's in beta, right, Markus?
Yeah, there's some cool stuff going on right now. I'm
I don't know when that's going to come out. It's been in beta for quite a while, so I'm kind of wondering when that is going to be released with homebot.
I know. Unfortunate for you Canadians, you got to find another solution.
Yep.
Yep. But hey, but at the end of the day, I still think the true process here is we need to create everything on the follow-up has to feel relational, and I'll be about discovery and conversations and about you just being a resource for them. No one wants to be sold on anything. We for all those that were on the mastermind yesterday, that's the key takeaway from Bobby. That's a key takeaway from anybody for that matter. Even Donna Swansea, who's done, been the greatest success with StreetText. She's always presented herself with value, and you use words like, this is the way I would position your home on the market instead of this is what I would list your home for. Right? There's sometimes just small it's psychological, right? Small little words that we can replace to make it feel more like we're in it to serve, and which we should be anyways. And remember, the key is you just want to be a resource for them. It's not about let's get your home listed in this market right now. It's about just being a resource and helping them identify what's currently happening, what's possible. Here are things that you could do. Here's what I want to do for you. Right? And so in the first 7 to 14 days, that's where I think you really create that experience. You highlight that experience with everything you do. That's why with Melissa, when you have a lead that you think is a good lead, whether they expressed immediately 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, or whatever like that, or if maybe you just had a great conversation with them via the phone or text messaging, that's where you take it a step further, send the piece of mail, throw in the $5 Starbucks card. A lot of our coaches say, well, you also can team up, like it depends on where you're located. When you're thinking about 15 miles that you're having to utilize, that's why Starbucks works, because there's a Starbucks around every corner. And they can go get themselves a Frappuccino or something with that. The key is that little move is going to make a big difference with somebody and make it memorable. Not a lot of realtors will do something like that. But the key with what I thought was genius of Melissa is that she gets them to and prompts them to go back to the email to watch that video CMA again. And because that's where you need to get yourself in front of it. They will only begin to know, like, and trust you through video, because until they actually have a chance to be with you, talk to you, see you, experience you, you're still just somebody in their mind who's a salesman trying to grab their business, trying to get their home listed. So everything comes down to how you create that experience for them. And then, based off of that experience and continued experience through it. And I truly think when you see like the, because everybody can get a couple deals with StreetText. And I love it when I see, Bobby's done 3 deals and Melissa, three in these, but both of those been at it for a year. And then finally, all of a sudden they come and you'll see a bunch of deals happen. So, for those of you that are just starting, you just have to really put on the long-term cap here and change your focus and mentality that you're going to be in it with them for, it's not about me trying to sell your home in the next 2 months. Like, granted, yes, you want to try to get as many appointments established as possible. But if you can stay in front of these people as naturally and organically as possible, which is why you see like with Wendy and Jennifer and Stacy, Sebastian, they're always trying to reinforce the Facebook relationship, because that's going to be where you can be on the daily as an influencer. And you can, you know, sky's the limit with Facebook now. I mean, you can create Facebook groups, Facebook communities. It's really up to you as why you'd want to connect on Facebook. And you got to be open to using your Facebook that way too. Because if you're not, I use it that way. And if anything, it's helped me with my relationships with StreetText clients, because they get a chance to see me as more than just someone, right? That's just trying to get them to sign up with StreetText. I want you guys to think of yourselves the same way. Social media is where we're at today. Like that, I just watched that movie. Who watched that movie on Netflix, the social media movie? Like they follow us everywhere, right? That's crazy to think about. But that's true. That's where we're spending the most amount of time, is we're basically glued to our phones. We're not glued to our email inboxes. Your homeowners aren't glued to their home email inboxes. They're glued to their smartphones. And they're most likely scrolling through Facebook or Instagram. So outside of your videos, you're trying to stay where you can always be connected and top of mind with them. And it'll allow you to face Facebook a little bit differently if you start figuring out how to use Messenger as a big part of your, and your newsfeed as a big part of your messaging. But my takeaways from the and we can feel free to talk about this. My takeaways from yesterday's mastermind is everybody should send the video CMA with the virtual CMA that basically breaks down the internet's best guess versus your MLS interpretation, and then obviously reinforces the appointment to get an in-depth market analysis that only you could provide. In more words than none, you can change that up a little bit, and then send the email like Donna talks about 10 minutes later, just making sure they got it. So that's a big step, and then send a piece of mail that reinforces that you sent the CMA. Add in a Starbucks card or something like that for those who you think are more serious or more interactive with your automations. Because remember, your live account shows those automation scores and shows you the most interactive with them. Anybody have questions on that?
No, I like that from the meeting yesterday, Marcus. That was, I'm going to start implementing that. I like the way Donna did that. I had asked you the other day if Donna was still doing that letter the next day, because I was just looking at that, and I think you weren't sure, and then she reinforced that yesterday, that she still does send that letter.
I think she shies away from the spotlight, obviously, because she gets inundated with people wanting to know more about it. And that's why we created the Donna Swansea course. Now that course hasn't changed for years. And so I think if anything, it was great for her to be there at yesterday's mastermind, because it reinforces that there's new ways to do things that she could probably add in and change just a little bit.
Yeah, she didn't know anything about HomeBot, you know. She was kind of like,
people don't still. And HomeBot's not an end all be all for anybody. It's just an excellent opportunity to find a tool that nurtures those leads. But I would only add it in as a resource after I created.
Right.
Like I would use StreetText and your email drip campaign for the first 10 days. I wouldn't integrate with anything else unless you had it do that same type of flow. I would spend the first 10 to 14 days saturating it with great, authentic, genuine video content. Small, very like brief, but informative information about, and keep it current to what's happening in the market, current to the information you think they would on the need to know basis around what's happening in that area, current mortgage rates, like things that you think would be important for a seller to consider.
Now, what was shocking though was her ad spend. I think everybody's eyes went like, what?
Yes. Well, when you're doing the amount of volume she's done, it's real. Like when you start doing really well with StreetText, why wouldn't you reinvest that in the marketing side if all else stays the same, if your process stays the same? Because it really comes down to then learning how to scale your stuff and work smarter, not harder, like with your process. So a lot of your video automations can be evergreen in the sense that you can use them over and over again, but you'll have to learn how to do those so that they feel like you're speaking to the individual and not as a video for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's the key. And you can't like we talked about, no one's gonna just put on Wendy's bubbly personality. That's the way she's doing it. The way I do things is completely different from Troy as a coach. We have way different monotone and versus Logan, versus Ira, where we're all different, and you guys are the same. So ultimately, the way you do video and present yourself is how about you have to showcase your personality, because it's about your know, like, and then trust. And so, it's not just like I can give you a script that's going to do it for you. My challenge to you is always consider your environment. My wife was in television. She says headroom is important. I wouldn't, Sarah, film that video with that lighting because I wouldn't be able to really see you.
I don't want to do anything with this lighting.
Not too much busyness. Audio is important. But a lot of, I've yet to see people not do this, but a lot of what I recommend, is number one, don't just start generating a bunch of leads without you being able to deliver the world-class experience to every single one of those leads. If you get so overwhelmed that you feel like you can't do that, then you need to turn your lead volume down. You need to turn your ad budget down. And another thing is, nothing's stopping you from using BombBomb on your phones, right? You don't have to wait till you get into your office in the perfect workspace. Oftentimes it's crazy to me to think, well, if just got a new notification from StreetText that I got a new lead, well, why wouldn't I at that moment just pull open the BombBomb app and film a quick video? Because that's more relatable than anything else. It's like, hey, you could be in the middle of a workout or taking your kids to school or whatever, but that in my mind is more relatable and connects to somebody because they see you as a real person than you just being like, in my office, just doing my thing, right? Because everybody knows, like, you can't just be the professional realtor. This is what I love about. I just talked to someone who there's a brand new agent, and he was the guy, and right next to him, and they were both on the Zoom call, and he's like, well, I've done hundreds and hundreds of deals, and I've done these awards and this stuff, and he's like, should I be the face of the company? Should he act as me? I'm like, well, there's not much integrity there. I think you should let this brand new agent, if you're trying to get him to work these leads, let him work the leads. That's more relatable. The beauty behind StreetText is this levels the playing field. It doesn't matter if you have 25 years experience in real estate or if you're brand new and you just got out of teaching and you're working these leads. Everybody starts the same with a top of funnel lead. You all have the same opportunity. No one just gets to talk about their experience. And if you talk about your experience too early, a lot of people are going to look at that like, I don't care. I just wanted my home value. They're like, great, you've done all these awards. That doesn't do anything to me. I'm just wanting my home value today. So your experience comes in when you get the listing appointment. But until then, you're about creating an influence and winning friends and influencing people, right? And you're about creating a conversation and making them feel, that this particular home value you're providing is your way of giving back to the community. It's complimentary. It is an algorithm. It is the internet's best guess. I'm only giving you data based on what I know here. And you always gotta position all those internet's best guess to make that consumer feel like they're smart. Like, you're smart. You guys could have easily put in your address to Zillow, Truly a Realtor. I'll kind of show you what these websites are providing. But I'm gonna actually go into my MLS. I'm gonna look into your neighborhood. So you always it's all about location, right? Because you never show comparables outside of that location. Is narrow in the location as close as possible, days on market, recent sales, similar square footage, bedroom, bath with a blank, always, here's what I know. And then anytime you can create your own personal experience of what you know about the neighborhood and your experience in the neighborhood, maybe be selling some homes near there, or what you know about the schools. And you could always bring in your own personal experience of what you know about that area. I think that would be the way to go when you create a virtual quick CMA. Keep it in that 1 to 2 minute range, no more than that, because you got to do it in a way that is scalable for you. And then you do that video CMA or that video follow up right after, and that piece of mail. That would be my 2 things that I would encourage everybody to do. And then for those of you that are open to connecting your personal Facebook inside of this, that's where you use that connection all the time. And especially, here's one thing you can consider. If you found them on Facebook based on you compiling tax records, finding them through being your detective that you are, it's not Facebook stalking if you're being genuine. If you found them and you friend requested them, use that in your screen recording in that CMA. Like, oh, by the way, just wanted to confirm that this is you on Facebook. I did send you a Facebook message. Here's where it is. It's sitting in this message request folder. Here's how you find it. So, because a lot of what you do is you coach and train these people to use technology if they've never used it this way before. Yeah? Questions? I'm gonna sip of coffee while you guys think about this.
Markus, I'm having a challenge on how Jennifer Salter looks into her, sees all her unopens and then re-forwards them. So she looks in, she's in BombBomb and she sees what's not open and then she re-forwards it to him. Sometimes she'll just do it through Gmail because maybe it's not being opened. And she puts in the...
I think she does it through BombBomb. As far as I'm concerned, and again, when you're using resources like BombBomb and homebot, it's always best to go straight to the source. So if you want like a clear best practice with BombBomb, you need to go to BombBomb and talk to their support and read and watch what's the most effective way to get opens, and do it and work with Shane or work with somebody over there, because they're going to know better than anyone at StreetText. I mean, you can obviously ask Jennifer Salter how she does it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I don't go into Jennifer Salter's BombBomb to see how she's doing things. I just know that.
Yeah, I've seen her show it, but I just can't open those up, so I could copy and paste it and read. So I was just curious.
At the end of the day, every email you send has tracking behind it. So
I know that.
What she's doing is basically saying, if this email is not being opened, because your automations in the StreetText will only show opens and clicks, but it doesn't show your video play. So it doesn't hurt you to resend that video regardless and just say, hey, just want to make sure you got this.
Right.
And I would probably send it from, like, because you got to analyze your own email. Like I used Gmail, I used the Google Chrome extension with BombBomb, and I'm always got my tracking on, so I know who's getting what. And obviously I can message you guys through Facebook or text and say, hey, did you receive the email, and prompt you to go find it. When you don't have that opportunity, you just got to test it out and try it. I'd rather oversaturate somebody to try to get an answer, even if I sent it 3 times.
So, yeah. Shane gave us an 800 number that you could actually speak to someone. Does anyone have that? Because I cannot find it scouring their website. I was trying to find it this morning.
I don't have that, but I would just say post that in the discussion feature of the insider group.
Yeah. All right.
Here's another thing to take in consideration. When you're looking for answers immediately from our community, when you do the discussion, always make it a color, so it's loud, and always tag people that you want, that are naturally in there, or just what you want, like would give you feedback. Because the more you do that, the more that rises to the top. Because with all this feed, that's the way to kind of tap into the algorithm and make sure the discussion is getting featured if you want help from people. And then the search feature within StreetText Insider Group is really phenomenal too. A lot of people forget about that, but almost every topic that you can think of under the sun has been discussed in some way or the other.
So are you saying that most everybody sends their email to BombBomb? I didn't know that. I was copying the link to my email and sending it out there that way.
Yeah, so a lot, I mean, and it's either through BombBomb or through something like their Gmail. Like if you look at my Gmail and I go to compose my email, because I have BombBomb as an extension here. Well, when I click on the video, my video app will either say, like I can shoot, you know, the regular video there, or there's a little button over here that says record screen. Right? So the record screen then allows me to actually, I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can move between yourself and the record screen. Like it gets you getting a little bit used to, but that's the beauty of it, is like you can start on like, hey, it's Markus. I'm, you know, from Data Real Estate. This is the video CMA I'm about to produce. I'm actually just going to share my screen real quickly and walk you through the internet's best guess and my own interpretation. And then you could press the button, you share the screen, and basically it allows you to go from tab to tab to tab and create the experience you want them to see. So that's the beauty behind screen recording, is that you now create the experience the way you want them to see it. And that's where you highlight the internet, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, Redfin, you know, have your MLS pulled open, have their personal Facebook open too, anything else that you'd want them to see about the experience you want them to have. And then you always finish with the next steps, like what's your call to action? Where are you looking to connect next? What do you have them do? Is it asking questions? Is it wanting to connect on Facebook? Is it looking to get a virtual appointment set up through Zoom? You know, it's not always like it's not always the hard sell. Like next steps is to, you know, me getting in your home. If you don't want to be, if you know, like that's not your style, and you know, like Bobby was talking about yesterday, it's like, I just don't want anybody to ever feel like I'm selling them something. You just basically reinforce, I just want to be of service. I'm just here to help. Yeah. I know we've got a couple of people coming on late, but so the takeaway so far, we always got to learn by repetition, is everybody should have an automated email with video in it. Everybody should be tracking and analyzing those automated emails. Everybody should look to see what's being opened and clicked on from those automated emails. And also, you should be considering resending that from BombBomb to make sure they've received the video and watched the video and attached tracking to that. Everybody should be doing virtual CMAs. Everybody should send another email after the virtual CMA that says, just want to make sure you received it. Right? 10 minutes later. And I would say everybody should send something in the mail that reinforces the day and the time that you did send that virtual CMA and where to find it if they hadn't gotten it. Always address where they got it. Hey, you know, and use words like, you know, most people are just curious when they're on their personal Facebook scrolling down their newsfeed and they click on an ad that says whatever that ad was. If someone were to, you know, buy your home, would you sell it? You know, usually don't go for that part, because anytime you say sell, I would say you were probably just randomly just curious about finding your value, or you saw an, you know, enter your address, receive your home value. Here's how, you know, I did create my own custom CMA for you, and here's where you can find it. And then you just point them to, all you got to do is search for this email in your email inbox. And then you could always narrate that I would say that letter said, and if you already did receive it, here's what I'd like you to do. So it's like, always paint the picture for the people in that letter who may have already gotten it and watched it, and the people that didn't get it in that piece of mail. And then what Stacy was talking about doing is she adds in a little coffee card, a Starbucks $5 card for people that she thinks have more of a time sensitivity. And then for those of you in the US, that's where I think after you've done all that, maybe somewhere later in your automation sequence, you introduce homebot. That would probably be like, I think, the most effective best practices for you. Outside of that, it's all about personal preference. So for example, what Wendy from Las Vegas will do is she'll add in a couple different personal emails in that sequence with video. She definitely will add in the email after she sent in the CMA on day 3 or day 4 that says, hey, here, hope you liked what you saw. Here's what you could do, get a more accurate in-depth market analysis, basically reinforcing that she did send the CMA. And again, with all those emails, you reinforce where it would have gone if they didn't get it. And then I believe she introduces homebot right around day 7 or 9. And then day 12, she basically says, are we Facebook friends yet? After all that she's done. But that's her way. There's nothing telling you have to do that. I'm just telling you that's her way. Now you got to figure out your ways, and basically you're all your n equals 1 experiment. So I don't expect you, Jeff, to fall into the same category as Wendy.
Watch me.
What's that?
Watch me.
Okay, challenge accepted. Because everybody's is different and unique, and your personality is no different, right? So I think ultimately we're just trying to create and showcase that we are coming from contribution, and we want to be a resource for them forever. And so people gravitate to that. In this day and age we live in, where everybody's being solicited and sold and advertised to and marketed to, and everybody's trying to get their attention in some capacity, we're all making split-second decisions on whether or not we're going to even entertain things. So you just need to kind of break through that feed that's constantly in their life, on the email side, on the text side. That's why even with these text messages that go out, you gotta think about, if that text message and you're getting weird answers or responses or lack of them, change the text message, because it's a free opportunity for you. How would you want to be asked if you were texted? So I think it's important to use the StreetText Insider group to ask and engage and discuss, and that's what these masterminds are for. But also share that link out with as many people as possible. The link from the ad, in terms of where, hey, do me a favor, put in your address, your email, your phone number. Let me know what you think of the auto responders. Would you respond to these? And I always tell people, you don't just give them to people are gonna tell you what you want to hear. You need to get constructive feedback, and then you got to be willing to change that. And you should change it from time to time. I've talked to people that actually change it depending on the weather outside. So it feels very natural. Hey, it's rainy, you're probably, whatever, right? The key is, it's easy for you to really quickly go into your automation, embed a video. You just got to start practicing. So easy once you do this over and over again, to start basically going copy for email, embed, save, boom. Don't make it so daunting, and don't overanalyze it. That's why you should consider, when you get emails, just pull open your phone and send a reply. And also, if you have their phone number, you can also use BombBomb to send as a text, because it allows you on your app to do that.
Speaking of text, I hope it's okay if I ask this here. What's the best way to respond when you get a text message through StreetTalk?
Through StreetText?
Sorry.
We can be StreetTalk today. Well, I mean, I think ultimately, so number one, what are they how are they replying, because it depends on how they reply. Because sometimes.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I don't mean what to say. I mean how to reply so it goes just to that one person.
Oh, okay. Well, you're just going into your conversations tab and speaking from there. So if I share my screen. So in this little conversations tab is where you actually come in and reply to that person. Down here at the very bottom is the reply. And you can actually do this and access this from your smartphone. It's not like there's an app to it, but that's where you're going to reply. And from what I know, I'd have to pull up someone's account that's live. But from what I know is now within the contacts, we're going to give you the access of the conversations for that particular contact inside the contact section. So you don't have to go to the conversation tab. The conversations tab will be built into that particular contact.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good. So they're always, we just hired 3 new developers. Hush, hush. I'm not supposed to be saying this, but we did. So that's going to really help make StreetText more of a CRM as well. So it's kind of nice, not to take away from all the CRMs out there, because they're great to have those. But like, hey, guess what? I use Facebook as a CRM because I always think about where are people most likely to be seeing you every day, where are you most likely to use tools every day. And once you start understanding how powerful Messenger is, there's nothing like it. Video, voicemail, PDFs and files, and it all stays in one place, and you don't have to like figure out, where did I send it from, or what did I tell them, because you can all your conversation history is in one place. And then the beauty behind it is it says if it was watched or not and seen or not. And then you start thinking about all these people as, just like you have all your pipelines in your CRM, you want to develop pipelines too for StreetText, and think about all the different cases, scenarios that are happening with these leads, depending on your conversations or lack thereof, or what they've opened, what they haven't, how time frame, all that stuff. Because if a lead tells you they're 6 months out, how are you staying in front of them and prompting yourself to change that as that time gets closer? Okay, but I've said a lot, so how about we just address some things that you have questions about?
Well, since I seem to be the only chatty one here.
I know, I'm like, what's going on here? Are you just contemplating, thinking?
You had mentioned something earlier about templates. Is that templates that you could insert into your email?
Well, I mean, I think, so Shane from BombBomb, where is this template I was looking at? Some good ones out there. So many things open. Oh, here we go. So you can create things like this, so and embed them. I think Wendy's done this recently, where we found a way to actually embed templates into your email automation. So, when you start thinking about branding and colors and pictures and everything for that matter, it becomes really powerful. I love all the social media thoughts of this here, just a simple picture, that Jeep, it's because she's so passionate about her Jeeps. And then, these are all call to actions: buyers, sellers, communities, financing, reviews. That's her brand. Basically, hi, Jason, I received your home valuation request, and this is what I saw. And then there's, in the BombBomb, there's a call to action that says, click here to book with me, which would take me to, when she could book like that. That's, I can.
So how do we do that, Marcus?
Or you can book me. What, get a template?
I did have my template made in BombBomb, but how do I embed it into StreetText?
Calendly.
What's that?
It's a Calendly app.
Well, that
She's
part,
linking
yeah.
to her Calendly.
No, I understand the Calendly, but I mean that picture.
In your little chat feature in your StreetText dashboard, it connects you with Aiden, right? And so if you message Aiden and say, how do I take the BombBomb templates and embed them into the drip email campaign?
Okay.
It's just a
I'm going
source.
to do that now.
It's just a source code.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's it. Everything else you have to go do, guys. You know, conversion, more like conversations. Because it's not about converting leads of this nature. It's about having conversations. So those who create the most conversations are going to have the most conversions. So I challenge you to rethink your whole concept of lead conversion, especially with StreetText leads, as how many people can I create a conversation with and be a resource to? Because everything else will naturally fall into place. And if you make 2021 all about the relationship and all about the connection, and all about contribution and giving and expecting nothing in return, then you will get the most in return. It's just the law. It's a natural law. So that's it. I'm going to leave you with that because I think a lot of you have some good stuff to take away from this. And masterminds are amazing. If you haven't watched that, watch yesterday's and do those steps. Again, to reiterate, a follow-up email after the CMA. About 5-10 minutes later, just make sure they got it. Embed video in your automations and use the virtual CMA screen recording aspect. And then send a piece of mail with the date and time that you did send that virtual CMA to reinforce how they should open it. And just direct them, to coach them, teach them how to get there, because a lot of people aren't as savvy and sophisticated with marketing and technology as you are. So sometimes you got to speak to as if you're speaking to someone who has no idea to how to use Facebook or even their inbox and how to search for your email. Yeah? Cool. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.